called him RAR. Not like blowing my own trumpet or anything, I headlined it, to be frank, a little while back. And so if you went to that, I'm sorry you've already heard this, but I wanted to do it again because it's a poem that kind of means a lot to me. So, this is a poem to the poets that I will never be. Slam winners, record breakers, sold-out show headliners, workshop leaders, stadium fillers, best-selling authors. An ode to you. To knowing I will never make people cry the way you do, never make people laugh the way you do, I will never make people feel the way you do. To the monolith poets in whose shadow I have built a home, thank you. I have made myself a shelter of leftover syntax and metaphors you dropped along the way. I am a magpie of poetry. And with every shiny simile I find, I build a nest and rest in a bed of words left over from your completed masterpiece. Dip my feathers in ink and try to recreate. Find words for the flaws that I find in myself and words for all the loves that I have failed to keep hold of. They have slipped through my claws and left me grasping only syllables as your sleeve slips through my fingertips. I am lost again. And I find my way with words. Follow them as the crow flies, paint a roadmap of sentence fragments and let unfinished clauses lead the way. I'm scaling your stanzas. Hope a safety net of similes will catch me if I trip. Plummet like the meter of your measured words, perhaps I'll get back up again. Break my fall with a bed of blank verse, I never could write anything else anyway. If I'm lucky, maybe my magpie eyes will steal some of your light. Let me shine as bright as you. Tattooed tutelary spitting taboo topics with gilt-edged guarantees that I'll still be here in the morning. So when you see a magpie soaring, high above the city, clutching couplets in its claws, tip your hat. Wish me good day. Stealing from the best to make my nest, don't leave your trinkets where I can get them. The magpie poet is on her way to see poets I will never be. Poets. I have time for another one. Do we want to hear Badass Girl Gang or one about flowers? But it's sad.
Badass Girl Gang.
Okay. Don't have time for both.
I don't know.
Do both. Do both.
You sure?
Yeah.
Treat yourself, last one.
Yeah. Thanks. Anyway. Also, this serves as a reminder to go buy badges in the break.
Yeah.
Woo! Doing my job as the intern.
Woo!
Okay. The Bad Girl Gang has arrived in town. Matching leather jackets decorated with daisies and painted in forget-me-nots, they ride in on matching motorbikes. Gleaming chrome and lacquer, these are women who answer to the call of wolf. Mothers shield their children and grown men turn away as the girl power biker gang saunters through the streets. In this town, the strange strikes fear, and these women are more than Martian. Impassive sunglasses shield their eyes, each perfect hair perfectly in place. They leave what is given to them behind. A trail of bit-shaped footprints and tire tracks that spell slut. A pack forged on the strength of interlocking little fingers, these are women whose love will leave scorch marks. Sharpened stilettos leave pockmarks in the pavement, this street will remember them long after they have left. They have turned their backs on those who hurt them, trapped them, broke them, took the pain of their grandmothers and found companionship in others like them. There is strength in numbers. And now red-lipped bitch faces hide pointed teeth, loyalty lighting up their eyes like brake lights. These are women who will run you down and not look back. The click of heels on polished floors is a practiced howl. Do not ask them to smile. You are not ready for such a show of teeth. Hear them rend the air with howls of petrol fumes, take in the wreckage in their wake. Dislodged gravel and damaged tarmac, they drive donuts in the parking lot on their way out. They ride into the sunrise and are gone. Back into legend, they leave a mess behind that reads, the Bad Girl Gang was here. Thought I lost it for a minute. You sure I've got time to do another one?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Alright, sure. I've been doing this one quite a lot lately because it kind of came out on a whim and then someone told me it was really good. So I just kind of kept doing it. Thank you, dear. Do you remember the daisies you bought me? Met me at the bus station for our first date with daisies wrapped in tissue and tied with string. I pressed them between the pages of my favourite love story in the hopes that one day we'd write our own. Do you remember the daffodils that we picked in the park on a lunchtime walk? We'd only met for coffee, but we have a tendency to get carried away. 3 hours later, we decided to walk home through the park. You picked me one shining golden bloom, and I picked one for you, and we both went home with bouquets. I was impressed how long they survived in an old milk bottle on my windowsill. Do you remember the tulips you bought me? When we were walking home tipsy on a warm summer evening, you bought them from a street seller. 2 of every colour wrapped in wax paper and tied with silver ribbon. We forgot them on a bench by the river. Do you remember the roses? Our first Valentine's together, we bought into every cliche. Candlelit dinner and chocolates and a teddy bear that said what we would learn to. Do you remember the peonies you got me when I got my dream job? You said they were as pretty and pink as me, and I blushed to prove you right. Do you remember the little cactus I bought you because you were having a bad day? We called it Phil, and when I spiked my finger, you insisted on kissing it better. Do you remember the forget-me-nots on my birthday? Because you knew they were my favourites, blue like your eyes and yellow like mine. I have always valued what they symbolise. Do you remember the flowers on the table? Frosted glass bowls of lilies and birds of paradise, glowing in softly burning candlelight. Your face, lit from within when I said yes. Do you remember the flowers in my bouquet? Brilliant blues to contrast a white dress dusted with gold glitter that we still found weeks later. I had them preserved, you know, in a box above my wardrobe. Do you remember the daisies that I put in an old milk bottle on our first kitchen table? That was a good year for daisies. We tried not to tread on them as we carried boxes through our very first front door. We sat in the garden afterwards, ate tea from mismatched crockery and picked through petals. You love me not. Do you remember the garden we planted? Honeysuckle and climbing rose to hide the ugly boarded fence, chives and geraniums to remind you of home. I planted herbs, planned a zillion and one uses for them, all the meals I would cook for you. We planted hyacinths, and hydrangea we hoped one day would grow into a tree. We planted daffodils, to have gold come with the spring. Do you remember the way the flowers grew tangled? Crawling vines tied themselves in knots I failed to undo. Pansies died for lack of light and petunias fought for space. The path became cluttered with fallen leaves and blossoms no longer attached to stems. We pricked ourselves on the roses when we tried to cut them back, and eventually we were forced to surrender and tend our wounds. Do you remember how the flowers started to droop? I stopped buying bouquets for the table because the vase had ended up smashed. The grass in the garden turned brown, and the flowers gave up their petals, drying purple blooms like bruises on the lawn. The flowers we had planted together slowly wilted. I tried to save them, but I couldn't. Water the flowers, please. They're dying.